Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let us go over the market, talk about what just happened, yeah, what we can expect for the week. This is gonna be an exciting week because like, this is the earnings really start this week for a lot of tech, of course, including Tesla. So this is gonna be another wild week, I guess, potentially. So yeah, let's just jump into it. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, but let's just get this party started. Tesla ending the day up actually with the market itself as well. A nice just over 7%, ending just shy of $220, which isn't too shabby if I do say so myself. So the market is in a little bit of an interesting situation. So there's a few things that are bullish and there's a few things that are bearish. And it feels like, man, it's close. Like it feels like it's hard to say which one's going to play out, in the, I guess, short term ish. But this short term movement can dictate potentially the medium term movement, because if we have the short term movement to the upside, then that means the short term to medium term will be overall to the upside before potentially more downside overall. But if the short term ends up playing out to the downside, then that means the short term is to the downside, but then the medium term after that downside finishes is to the upside. So I'll try to explain it to you guys. It's a little bit difficult. Honestly, this is a precarious position that we are in. But Tesla, you can see, like it's if you go on, like, let's say the 3 hour, the 3 hour, it looks like Tesla kind of broke out of this little channel, right? But it's really close. Like it's still kind of teetering on it, right? It's still right beside the channel. It's still right beside the red line. Like it's still very close. Like it's only a few points away from just breaking back underneath, right? So it's extremely close, right? It's not looking bad. It's not looking too bad. It's looking like it has potential, which it's a good sign. I have exited my positions that I entered down here Friday. I bought 300 shares at 100 at 211, then I bought like 200 shares at like 209 or something like that. Sold some puts, etc. I exited the majority of those. I have like a very small amount of those left, mainly because I'm kind of opening myself up so that if we do plummet down after earnings or into earnings or whatever the case may be, if we essentially come back down anywhere to this level or even lower to 185, I'm ready to re-enter. If not, I stop positions that are a little bit under the water, somewhere like right around this area here anyways, so it's whatever. Anyway, the point is the fact that Tesla is extremely, it's an interesting situation. Like if you go on the daily, it looks a lot less promising, right? On the daily, it looks like we haven't broken out yet. So that's why it's kind of like a weird situation. It's kind of hard to dictate it for sure, because on the 4 hour, the 3 hour, it looks like, potentially broken out. The daily, not so much, right? We kind of look like we're still potentially in this channel a little bit. Like I wouldn't call this, I wouldn't say we broke out just yet. I would say that we're still very much in the channel on the daily. So I don't know, man. It's hard to say for sure. So the one thing I do like is the fact that the RSI is actually pointing straight up, and it's kind of, getting a nice little bit of a recovery here, a nice little bit of a breather, which is a good sign, including on all the time frames. Pretty much every single time frame, you can see it for the most part. It's getting a nice little pop out, which is great to see. This doesn't mean that this is the reversal. This doesn't mean anything like that whatsoever. What this means to me instead is the fact that the reversal, actual like true reversal, should be around the corner. Could be literally right now, but it doesn't mean that it has to be literally right now. It could also be in another week or two or something like that, right? It just, to me, tells me that we are starting to slowly form a base and we are starting to slowly form a bottom, and it's going to be potentially here or maybe like a little bit more lower, but it shouldn't be like substantially lower, which is a good sign, right? I do like to see that, so that that gives me a bit of confidence that we are potentially, actually making our way to what could be the bottom, at least for now. So we'll see if that, holds true or not. But that is a good start. That is definitely a good start. However, don't forget that the RSI also did make a lower low, as the stock also made a lower low. So, that's not a good sign, however, unfortunately, right? That's not really the thing that you really want to be seeing. So definitely want to keep that in mind as well. So for instance, you can see when Tesla ended all the way up here at 216 with this green candle, the RSI was all the way down in the undersold area, while when we were still back here, it was still just barely above the oversold area. So, right, the stock is still overall showing weakness in a longer time frame, I would say. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately at some point we still go, lower. But that doesn't mean that we can't have some short-term bounces potentially for like even a couple of weeks or so sometime soon. So that's what we're trying to figure out and when it's going to happen. Now, the most important thing I want to pay attention to for you guys right now, right, is going to be, so if we look at Tesla, let's say we look at it on the 1 hour, right? So if you want to go from like a little bit of a macro perspective, micro perspective, if you go from the swing high here to this little swing low here, right, you can see that we are essentially bouncing right off the 786 Fibonacci. right? We completely bounced right off of it perfectly. And so the way I would view it is this is a good start. The fact that we are potentially out of, these potential, this red line, we're back above it. We're potentially breaking out of this downtrend that we were in, the channel. Good starts. But until we can at least break above pretty much today's high, and even more ideally, this whole clusterfuck thing over here, if you will, that we already failed once before, until these levels right here can be broken. So essentially between 221 to it's like 225, that 4-point range, in my opinion, it should in theory still serve as a pretty major resistance. So until that can be broken, I am still not fully convinced on this bounce, right? And we're pretty much sitting in the exact same spot on the SPY. If we go from the same swing high to the same potential swing low, arguably over here, you can see we are still essentially bouncing off of this general area as well, right? So until the market can find a way to move above those, it's a little sussy, right? It's a little bit on the sussy side. So I wouldn't, be too bullish or necessarily bearish either just yet. The market seems to be in like a coin flip situation right now where it can honestly go either way. It's just a matter of which level breaks first, the downside level or the upside level. That's what I'm essentially personally waiting for, right? Kind of how I said on Friday, how when the market was plummeting and the VIX was up like 0.5%. I'm like, that's really suspicious. I also think a lot of retail are in puts. I don't like that. That to me makes me think that maybe we're not gonna actually plummet like everyone thinks we are. And look at that, we have a beautiful rally, huge rally today, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about, right? This was, to me, was a little bit more obvious of a potential bounce coming up, which we got today. However, the situation we are in right now, I'm not as confident to give you guys, like a more guaranteed perspective just yet. I need to see a little bit more confirmation to one of the two sides, whichever that side may be. So until I see that, I'm not super confident to give you guys yeah, this is probably going to happen, right? I'm like 50-50 right now, to the upside, to the downside. I can pretty much give you guys the levels, right? If we can break above, at the very least, 2 days high, sometime tomorrow or even Wednesday, then that slowly starts unlocking the upside potential. But if we cannot, and if we start breaking back into these channels once again, that to me is starting to unlock the potentials to go, at the very least, gap fill most likely to this level of 205 once again, if not maybe go even lower to like 185 or something like that, which I still think is possible based on how earnings goes, because who knows how that's going to go, right? So that's just kind of what I'm seeing at the very moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the VIX, you can see, has slowly retraced, but it didn't really go down that much based on today's massive rally. So, it's not like a crazy down day for the VIX based on like the market going up like 3%, which is a lot for the market, the broader market, right? So that's also something else to consider. It's not, the VIX isn't plummeting that hard. So people aren't like escaping too hard in puts and whatnot. They're still like potentially buying some puts a little bit, maybe just at a slower pace, right? Maybe some people got squeezed out. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm seeing right now. Not a whole lot to update, unfortunately, today, right? Today's just not really, anything too wild. If you go back to the daily chart on Tesla, you can see we are actually above the 5-day, but below the 10-day moving average. So that's something else to consider. The Bollinger Band, we are still well above the red line, but still well below the white line. So the Bollinger Band is slowly starting to catch up to us on the daily. So, the last thing I want to point out, I guess, is something that I'm not fully confident in yet as to how it's going to play out. But as you can see, we have an inside day today, right? So if we zoom in really hard here, you can see today's trading range was completely within the trading range of the previous day, which of course was Friday. We're completely within it, right? We are trading within this candle, which is considered or called an inside day. Now, the reason I'm not confident is because I'm personally not extremely familiar with this pattern yet as to how it plays out. I've seen some people say that this is considered a reversal, but I've seen some people also say that this is considered a continuation, which is, in this case will be a bullish and a bearish pattern respectively. So I need to see how this plays out. I'm not personally confident in this because I don't see these often myself. So I just don't have personal experience seeing it play out often enough to give you guys a better idea as to where this might go. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. Let me know down below what you think. Pretty wild day. And yeah, I really think the market is in a 50-50 situation right now. So until it can break those levels I talked about, same with the SPY, I wouldn't be too bullish, but I wouldn't be too bearish either. Not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions, all that stuff. But thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.